Hi, my name is Muir. I'm a consultant in public health in Oxford, and I've been working on this thing called ageing for 50 years.
You've been working in this realm for 50 years. What most excites you about the 92 pages of recommendations within the Health of the Nation report from the APPG for Longevity, of which you are a strategic advisor?
Well, the term paradigm shift is overused, but this is a paradigm shift. We've assumed that this thing called ageing is a tidal wave coming towards us that we can do nothing about. But the report makes clear that what we assume to be ageing is due to other factors. The conventional risk factors of smoking and lack of activity, the background factors of deprivation and social problems, but also the new agenda of isolation and loneliness and depression. So everything we've assumed that happens to people in their 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s is being due to ageing. It's not due to ageing. So there's a prevention agenda that we can transform. So it's a message of hope rather than thinking population ageing is coming at us like a tidal wave.
You were the former knowledge chief of the National Health Service for many years. That prevention agenda, transforming the NHS, moving it from from treatment to prevention. What needs to happen to make that happen within the timeline we've got, 2035, adding those 5 extra years of healthy life expectancy?
Well, the president of Toyota once said, Toyota's a knowledge business. Isn't that tremendous? And he meant not just knowledge about plastic and steel, but knowledge about his customers and his competitors and about the environment. Healthcare is a knowledge business. Knowledge is the elixir of life. It's not a chemical, it's knowledge. And the National Health Service is a national knowledge service. So yes, we need artificial hips, we need drugs, we need MRIs, but we now see that what we have to do is to give people knowledge. Healthcare is what you do for yourself. We deliver professional health services. So the message that comes through loud and strong from the report is we trust people. It's not us doing it to them. We focus on ability, not disability. So it's a positive message, and that's very, very important.
Among the negative messages out there and the negative features of our society is the fact that we have a shocking gap between rich and poor. We have health inequity on a massive scale. How do we address this?
Well, there are fundamental issues in society that need to be tackled, and we're not going to make the UK like Sweden overnight. But actually, if you get down to it, in health services, there are things we can do. For example, we know that people from deprived sections of the community get less hip replacements than people from wealthy sections of the community. From the NHS, this is not private practice. So we're introducing what's called population health care, which means every clinical department would have a map on the wall, and they'd be looking at where they're getting referrals from. And if they weren't getting referrals from the poorer parts of their population, which is the case, then they'd go out and do something about it. The constitution of the NHS makes it clear, ability to pay should not be a factor. Now, it's not so much ability to pay, but poor people have difficulty in getting time off work. They've got lots of other problems on their agenda. They've difficulty with transport. So the health service has to reduce inequity as one of its top objectives. So that's what we're going to do. Society changing, that's a big task, but the health service can do something right now to make life better for people from deprived subsections of the population.
We also heard one of the panelists at the launch event here at King's College talk about the fact that the NHS is used to treating body parts. Do you think, how do we move it to having a more holistic approach?
Well, I've got 3 or 4 conditions myself, so I've got multi-morbidity. I actually call it a multi-specialty problem, because the fact dealing with multi-specialists. Well, I think there is an issue here for the citizen. So I think the citizen has to take responsibility to a greater degree than they do at the present. And you see, at the moment, we don't give you anything to say, well, welcome to the NHS, here's your responsibility. And if people are sensible, they should be holding their own records, because the patient is the only person who's constant. The person we call the patient is the only one who's constant. And I think we need a different contract. You see, in I don't like the word patient. I want to do away with the word patient. That if you're, from a legal point of view, the person called the patient is the principal and the doctor is the agent. So if you're adapting your house, you are the principal and the architect is the agent, but that's not the way it feels in the health service. So it's partly changing the health service, it's partly saying to the public, you can do it, and actually it makes sense for you to recognise that healthcare is what you do for yourself.
We've got a lot of consumer tech around. I mean, I'm thinking the way to galvanize the masses is to add in some gamification, because people love a competition. They love a bit of sport. So if we could engage people in a sporting way, perhaps that would get them, so, Ethel down the road, she's doing this. Well, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do 75 push-ups and 3 planks, that sort of a thing.
Yeah, well, I find it helpful to think we're in the third healthcare revolution. The first was public health. The second was high-tech in hospitals, and the third is driven by 3 forces: citizens, knowledge, and this. This is more revolutionary than the human genome. But what we're doing, actually thinking about older people like myself, is firstly, they need to become more active. Every year you've got to become more active. Every diagnosis you've got to become more active. They should become more active for a social cause, not just competing, but to raise money. They should do it in a group, and the group should compete. I really want the older people of Nottingham to be competing with the older people of Derby, or the older people of Oxford competing with the older people of Cambridge. We're going to do more than they.
I love that. We add the civic element, and away we go.
Yeah, that's what people. It's always important to find out who they dislike. Leeds hates Sheffield, and vice versa. So we're going to get them motivated. That's motivation.